Um, Hello, everyone, and welcome to Engineering the Future, an event supported by NEM Ontario and organized by Revolution. And I'm going to start this event by paying respect to Indigenous peoples whose land we are living on. Indigenous people have been acknowledging the land at the start of gatherings, ceremonies, and events for time immemorial. In this with the release of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, more non-Indigenous people are becoming aware of the importance. Using and participating in a land acknowledgement is a way to recognize the enduring presence and resilience of Indigenous peoples in this area for time immemorial. They're also a reminder that we are all accountable to this relationships. We acknowledge the land we're meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home of many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by the Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. While it is important to do land acknowledgements, we must recognize that we must do more and ensure that we are not doing checkbox activism. Recognizing whose land we are on is a start, but we cannot stop there. At this time, the word reconciliation is on the mouths of many, including a lot of government officials, and often with a hollow ring. Because there can be no reconciliation without conciliation, and there can be no conciliation without reparations. What that looks like is a conversation we need to have in consultation with the peoples of this land. We must remember that we are guests on this land, and we need to be better guests, especially those of us who are European descendant. Thank you. All right, so I'm going to start with some housekeeping items on our agenda. So please keep your microphones on mute unless you are asked to speak. There will be a short introduction of the speakers, which I'm very happy to have here. And then you will all join our breakout rooms to help you meet our special guests today who are industry professionals. Each guest have their own breakout room, and you are welcome to jump in on any of the rooms. The goal is to spend about 5 to 10 minutes in each room and ask the guests some questions about their career or to listen to what they have to share about their careers and current positions at their companies. Breakout house rules. Basically, we will have a bingo card that I'm going to share with you soon, and then this will be used for you during this breakout session. I'm talking to the participants, and if the speaker, once you enter a room, if the speaker is sharing information, pay attention to what they say, as they may share information that you already added to the bingo card. And also, when you join the breakout room, please be sure that no one is talking before you start asking questions. Just like you would enter a room, like a regular room, and people are talking, just make sure you don't interrupt. Pay attention and make sure that you get to ask questions when the time is to do so. Please use the raise your hand feature to interrupt. You will then be brought into the main virtual stage for a panel where I get to ask the guests additional questions. This is also your opportunity to add more information to the bingo card, so please pay attention to our guest answers. After the panel, we ask that you please fill out the poll. We'll have a poll that will come up from NEM Ontario, and I will ask everyone to fill out this poll for NEM Ontario, including the special guest, and then we get to learn how to create better experiences for you in the future. We will end the event with our closing remarks, and then we'll follow up with how the winner can get the gift card. There's a $20 gift card that we will give to the people that get to submit their bingo cards for us. So, all right, well, let me introduce myself, or well, actually, most likely Revolution and myself as I go with it. I am Doina. I am the founder of Revolution. Revolution is an award-winning charitable organization that was created to close the gender gap in STEM. That's science, technology, engineering, mathematics. And Revolution was also founded over a decade ago. I can't believe we've been here for 10 years. And I'm very happy to share that within this time, we were able to support over 5,000 youth in GTA and across Ontario. We deliver programming in partnership with leading STEM companies to support the next generation. And we're now focusing on programs such as Go STEM. This is a one-week camp-like experience hosted in the third week of August. And the STEMing Up program, which is a 4 weeks program that sparks interest in technology and is hosted every summer to support underserved communities in Ontario. We also have our ambassador program and youth committee that was designed to support the next generation of leaders to help them build confidence and board development. We can have people learn just the actual technical skills without having confidence and becoming leaders, the leaders of tomorrow. We're very happy to continue to make a great impact and build capacity for growth across Ontario. And one of our goals is to ensure that we will be sharing space with industry professionals and bring youth together to learn from each other, the best way to make the future of work more accessible to everyone, regardless of gender, class, race, or location. I'm going to share with you the newsletter. We have an annual newsletter. I'm going to share that with you here on chat. Just give me a minute. And I encourage you to read that. Oh, I'm not seeing the chat. Chat. Here. So this is a newsletter to read later, not right now. This newsletter describes in more detail what we have achieved and what we're doing in 2023 to make STEM more accessible for everyone. Our ambassadors are planning monthly events and the Go STEM program, and we're also planning our STEMina program at the moment. I encourage you to add your name and your email to this list. If you want to learn more about what we do in the future, really encourage you to add your details to our email list. So this is enough about us, enough about Revolution. You have enough opportunity to learn more from our newsletter and from our website, which is amazing. And now I know that we're doing great things because that's why we're here. And I want to talk about the engineering the future right now. So I'm going to start with saying that our guests come from various engineering industry, from companies such as GM Canada, 30 Forensics Engineering, Matrix 360, and Ellis Dunn. And I will open up the floor to have our speakers introduce themselves to you. And I'm gonna go with Hillary, then Jeff, Norji, Chandran, and Isabel. If you don't mind starting in this order, introducing yourself to the audience, I would really appreciate that.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for the opportunity. My name is Hillary. I joined GM 2 years ago as a controls engineer, but at the moment I work as a process engineer on the V6 line. Growing up, I always worked with my parents. They had a big farm for sugarcane, and they had all the machines to be able to process the sugarcane. So I always had the desire to work with electrical or mechanical. So I joined university after high school for electrical engineering in Brazil, where I was born. And then 5 years ago, I came to Canada and I continued to study in the same field for electrical engineering. And since I finished my studies, I've been working in the field. And as I mentioned before, now I work for General Motors as a process engineer. Thank you.
Thank you, Hillary. Jeff?
Hi, I'm Jeff. I'm a little more senior than Hillary. I've been doing this for about 20 years. I graduated from the University of Waterloo Chemical and Environmental Engineering program in 2000. So I'm that old guy in respect to some of these things. So anyway, what I do, I work at 30 Forensic Engineering. I've got actually a really interesting kind of weird job. We do sort of CSI engineering. So looking at things when something bad happens, why did that happen? Whose fault was that? Who can we sue? What's going on with that kind of stuff? And so a lot of the work that I do is kind of problem solving in an engineering space, which is really interesting. I'm really grateful for that opportunity. And I lead a small team, the remediation group within 30 Forensics. That's an 8-person team. And I'm also the chair of our DE&I committee, and I'm on the board of directors. One of the other things that I do a little bit of, which may be actually of interest to Isabel, is I do adjudication work in Ontario, adjudicating dispute resolution processes under the Construction Act. So I get to be a judge as well to some extent. And
Nice.
so I use a lot of my technical skills in a lot of different ways. And prior to being with 30 Forensics, I worked in more of a design consulting and construction sort of space, working on big municipal infrastructure, industrial stuff, that kind of thing.
Thank you, Jeff. Norji, virtual mic goes to you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Norji Williams, and I work with Matrix 360. I have been with Matrix for 2 years, and I've had a very diverse experience in many different industries. I have worked in law, I have worked in recruitment, I have worked in the medical field, and currently right now with Matrix 360, my role is about engagement. It is about engagement with diverse communities, about getting them into their next career path, into helping and supporting them, and finding synergies in which communities that are underserved are able to tap into their wealth of knowledge and experience and bring that forward into the corporate world. I'm happy to be here, and I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Thank you, Norji. Chandran.
Hello, everyone. My name is Chandran Fernando. I'm the founder and managing partner of Matrix 360. Matrix 360, what we focus on, what Norji was saying, is talent management and workplace strategy, specifically for the commercial real estate and development industry. I started this organization about 22 years ago. I started when I was 5 because I'm still under 20, right? My key thing here is to really what we work on, what Norji mentioned, is to really figure out better pathways for diverse and underrepresented communities, specifically young people and young professionals, so that they too could have opportunities to advance and grow their careers. And one of the key things is, part of our engagement strategy is to partner and work with organizations like Hervolution, specifically in regards to how we could support more individuals into STEM and connect it back into the commercial real estate space. So I'm very excited to be a partner and to join this conversation this evening.
Thank you, Chandran. Last but definitely not least, Isabel.
Hi, everyone. My name is Isabel Sellis. As the screen says, I'm a product manager in the Toronto Buildings Group for Ellis Don. I hope not to have to use your services, Jeff, or not to come and ask you in adjudication. I still never made it there. I have been working in the industry since I graduated from Queen's University in 2006. I'll probably say I graduated with a mechanical engineering degree. I'm not a great mechanical engineer. I'm a much better project manager, but I love what I do. I did about 14 years between summers and full-time at a design consulting firm. And I had an opportunity to work in Chile for 6 years. I was born in Colombia, so I had the language already, but having the engineering project management experience gave me the opportunity to move around with the same organization. I worked there for 6 years, and then after 14 years there, it was time to move on to a different organization. I've been with Ellis Don since, and I look forward to sharing my experience with everybody today.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to have you all here, and yes, I hope that the participants that were here today have paid attention so that you can actually know what to ask our amazing guest today. And when you actually go to breakout rooms. Now, talking about breakout rooms, this is our fun time, and I am going to share a link to our bingo card, and I'm hoping that you can download that on your computer and use it to go into the breakout rooms so that you can ask questions. You know what questions to ask. Were you born in Canada? Did you travel for work? It's a really fun activity to get to meet everybody as much as possible. So you get to go into the rooms. Our special guests get to go into their own breakout rooms. And then we'll have participants, just kind of join in, spend about 5 to 10 minutes. We have enough time for you to join all the rooms, so don't feel like you have to rush and go in, and don't spend enough time there. Ask as many questions as possible. Awesome, thank you. So welcome back. I hear you had fun. It was amazing. And I hope that you learned so much. And I hope you also use your bingo cards to fill out all that information from the breakout sessions. And now I'm very happy and I'm honored that I get to have some fun, and I get to ask our guest speakers some questions and how they get to plan to bridge, you get that, pun intended, to bridge the gender gap in engineering. So, all right, we are gonna go in the same format that we did earlier with the introduction. So Hillary and Jeff, or I'm just going to name the person that I would like to answer a specific question. So this is for everyone. And I would like for you to help us understand, how did you decide to enter your career in whatever you do? And we're gonna start with Hillary, Jeff, Norji, Chandran, and then Isabella again.
I decided to enter my career because my father was also an electrical engineer, and growing up in a farm and with all the machinery he had to produce sugarcane, I saw that he used his engineering skills not only for his job, but on everything that he did. So I always found interesting that everything that my father would do, he would have that troubleshooting skills, and it would always bring him somewhere. So I really got inspired from my dad, and I guess it just took over from there.
Thank you.
No
Jeff,
problem.
how about you?
Thanks, Donna. Yeah, I mean, and I mentioned this, so apologies to those who were in my breakout session. Yeah, I mean, as a kid, I was a big drawer and a big Lego guy. Those were kind of my things that I liked to play with as a little kid. And so the very kind of hands-on and tactile thing and very creative thing, right? That was something that I always enjoyed. And I found that, engineering, as I understood it at the time when I was sort of figuring out what to do with university, seemed like a good way to blend sort of, I was good at math and I was good at chemistry, but then using that to turn it into something that I could, look and see and touch. Engineering is great for that, and as is construction as well, which I got into later. Very real, very tangible, and to the, really speaking to the creative kind of, but real creative, right? It's not just here's an idea and I've written it in a book, which is awesome too, but really like, hey, I worked on that building. Like that thing wouldn't exist but for me. And sketching something on a napkin and seeing it come to life is really, really interesting and exciting for me. And I'm really grateful to be able to get to do it.
Thank you. All great things start with a napkin, right? Thank you. Norji, how about you?
Okay, well, see, I'm not directly in the engineering field,
That's
so
fine.
How I got into my field was that I always knew that I wanted to help people. I knew that from being very, very young, and my first career started in social work, and it just moved into social work in a more focused way, and where I can directly help people move through their career path and support them through that. So that's why I'm here.
Thank you for sharing that, Norji. We have in our programs, the Revolution, and myself included, we want everyone to understand that engineering has so many different layers. And STEM in general, they have so many different layers. So you don't have to be an engineer to actually work in engineering. So, you're a great example. So thank you for that. Chandran.
Sure. So very similar to Norji, I've been privileged in one sense, starting at a very, very young age to get exposure to a lot of career opportunities, specifically around social work, youth engagement, community development, that led me to the corporate world. And I consider myself a serial entrepreneur. I like to create things. I like to do things. I like to make things happen. And part of what I like to do is really focus on areas within the corporate world where diverse groups are underserved or underrepresented, and help create better pathways of opportunities for diverse community groups. So saying that is that, you know, because I was very curious for growing up as a child, I love to play with Lego too, and I would love to, you know, play sports, and I also love to go to the library. So I would ask questions. I would, you know, talk to adults and talk to, I didn't know them, I didn't call them professionals at the time, but I would speak to these people and say, what do you do? How did you get there? How do you make things happen? And I would just ask these questions, and then I would take that information and go to the library and research on it, because we didn't have the internet back then. So I would then
you are that young. Yes.
Yeah, I was that young. Yes. Not Flintstone days, but I was young, almost that level. So yeah. But I was able to ask. So my suggestion is for every young person or individuals who are transitioning to various careers is allow your curiosity to lead you. Understand that there's so many different possibilities out there, and that you hold many gifts, that don't be shy or afraid to share it.
Yeah, thank you for that, Chandran. Isabel.
Sorry, I was talking to myself.
Yeah, that's okay.
3 years later, I'm still forgetting to unmute. So my path's a bit similar to Hillary. My dad worked in construction his entire life. He's still working in it. And in Colombia is very fortunate. There isn't that big gender gap in engineering. So Hillary, I don't know if it's the same in Brazil, but it's not strange for a female to go an engineer. It's 50-50. My mom's a systems engineer. My sister's a mechanical engineer as well. So I knew from a young age of 7 that I wanted to be an engineer. And I'm probably a strange person. It's not like, I think it's normal for somebody to be, 15 and not know what they want to do. But just always keep your mind open and take whatever classes you can so you can make that decision when you're older, you know what you want. But yeah, my inspiration came from my dad and seeing him love his work and build things and help develop a city. You change the skyline of a city, you change what the city looks like. So that's what I love about what I do.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so you were inspired by engineering, you got into the field. I would really like to hear, and I'm sure everybody wants to hear, is if there's anything about your job that surprised you when you first started. Like anything that, when you started, like, wow, I did not think this was going to be it. I don't know if you want to go in the same route, like Hillary can start, and then you can go in the same.
It's funny for me because my background is electrical. So I was into programming and developing like benches, and developing all electrical drawings. So when I joined GM, they gave me the opportunity to be a process engineer, which I even didn't know what it was to be a process engineer. So I was really surprised the process of an engine being made and all the tolerance that we need to keep, they're very tight. We talk like microns. So fighting with microns every day, and just the speed that everything happens, like the engine, it's on the loading, and then I don't know, 1 hour later it's already going to the end of the line. And then it was very surprising for me because I never imagined how fast-paced manufacturing for engines could be, and how small tolerances could be for engines, and how much quality matters. So it really took me out of my comfort zone, like being an electrical engineer, taking care of projects and programming on the background, and then being a process where I need to get involved with all my team, like operators, trades, and get everybody working together to be able to keep very small tolerances, and at the end of the day have very quality products going out of the plant. So that was very surprising for me.
Thank you. Norji, do you have anything to share? about
Um,
when you started this,
well,
coming from a different field?
what I will say is that I never thought that the field that I'm in would be the field that I'm in.
Yes.
I always pictured myself strictly in social work and being in the office, helping people with their issues, whatever they may be. And when I entered into the corporate world, I was surprised that I enjoyed it, and I was even surprised that they wanted me because I have a big personality and a big laugh and all those sorts of things. So I was kind of like, you want me? You want me to work here
Yeah.
at this very corporate entity? So that was the surprise for me, was that there was an opening for someone like me. I didn't see myself in corporate when I started my career. There weren't a lot of young Black women in the corporate sphere. So when I got entered, it was, oh, wow, this is really interesting. And it really changed my mind about what changes I could do within the corporate world and the things that needed to be changed with people like me doing the representation and ushering the new era.
Yeah, you and I both. I come from the social work sector, and here I am in STEM. Never thought I would do this, but we have something to offer, and this is why we're here. So yeah, Jeff, I think I missed you, but would you like to also share?
Yeah, for sure. And you didn't miss me. You got me. That's okay.
Okay.
And what I think, picking up on something that Narji said, I mean, I thought one of the things that I was surprised by, and in contrast actually to what something Hillary said, like a lot of the design engineering work that I've done, I've been a consultant all my life, and so I've always had to fill out timesheets and whatnot. But like, it's a desk job,
Hmm.
and it's not as complicated as I thought it would be. Like I expected coming out of university that I was going to do nothing but calculus all day long, right? Like that's kind of what seemed like engineering school was all about. And so I was really surprised at how hands-on it was, and then how there's a lot of tools, a lot of kind of like defined processes to help kind of keep us in line to some extent as engineers, and having lots of room for all the different pieces of that puzzle. As Narji said, like, the people with the big laugh, right? Like there's definitely a need for that. We needed all the
Hmm.
people with different skills coming together as a team to build the high quality product that we were doing. Similar to Hillary was saying, like that quality is really important to us. And now at my job at 30 Forensics, where I testify in court, like the quality is it's non-negotiable, right? Like I can't go in front of a judge and get it wrong. I have to be right and I have to stand by, what does the science say? What does the engineering say? So that quality, making sure that we get all the right people around the table and understanding how
Hmm.
important that is. It's not one person on an island. You need that diversity of input, of expertise and approach to get the right answer.
Yeah, thank you. Diversity of thought is very, very important in any field, especially engineering, that we need more women. So thank you for that. Chandran, how about you? I mean, I know you started this company, but then you are in this field. So what surprised you about it?
I think it's the various diversity is very important. Like, to understand there's so many differences and everyone has great skills to bring to the table. It's really learning how to, what I learned very quickly is that most individuals are still, unfortunately, waiting to ask for permission to share the great skills that they have to offer. And I think it's learning how to teach people to unlearn the we'll say the social pause of waiting and asking. It's to learning how to show up, whether you have 3 months of experience versus 20 years of experience, is that you're still valued, and it's figuring out how can you know actively listen and then share, and not just wait for permission to share. So I think it took a while for me to really understand that process, because cultural nuances, growing up, I was raised to, sit and ask, don't, whereas
Hmm.
as an entrepreneur, you can't just sit, you have to actually go out there and show up. So it took me a while to kind of figure that piece out, and I had to learn it quite quickly. So yeah,
Yeah,
that
I
helped.
totally understand that. Coming from a different country, different culture, and you don't talk about yourself. Job interviews only happen in Canada for me. Like for a job interview where I come from, you have to get other people to talk about you. You can't talk about yourself. So it's so different. So yeah, I totally understand that. All right, Isabel, let's hear what you have to say. We want to hear. anything that surprised you about your job when you first started?
I think the biggest surprise for me was where my degree actually led me. I think when I picked mechanical engineering, I was telling the breakout room, I thought I'd be maybe doing what Hillary's doing, working for a car manufacturer. And because I knew somebody at a consulting firm, I got into one summer into design, and I never looked back. And now, I mean, what I love to do is work in healthcare or medical research building, things like that, because I feel like I'm giving back to society. And it couldn't be any more different than what I envisioned doing with my degree when I started it. Same degree, completely different career paths. And it's not that one's wrong and one's right, but this one's the right one for me. And it was just keeping an open mind throughout my career with what was going to happen. I think that helped a lot. And it just goes to show how diverse the degree is, and that it's the skills behind getting that degree that really help you move on. It's the problem solving, it's the way you look at the problem and everything else.
It's the applicable or the transferable skills that you take from one thing to apply to the other. And I think it's very interesting to see how you come from the engineering background, you study engineering and you still do something different. And here we are, social workers, and we come and we do something different. So it doesn't matter what you study, you can end up here because you're, like Chandra was saying, you add value. So, and all perspectives are important, and it's important to be included. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. I have two more questions because I'm looking at the time. I want to make sure that we are finishing on time. So I would like to ask one super important question that I have is, what does 30 by 30 mean to you? And how do you plan to contribute to this initiative? And just as a side note, Engineers Canada has a national goal of raising the percentage of newly licensed engineers who are women to 30% by the year 2030. And 30% is universally held. 30% is universally held as the tipping point for sustainable change. Reaching 30 by 30 will help drive the shift in the overall membership of the engineering profession as more and more women continue to enter the profession. So what does that mean to you? Our speakers today, anyone can answer this. You can just unmute yourself and answer. Or I could just name someone.
I can start.
Okay.
To me, I mean, a very important part is talking to girls when they're younger, especially in Ontario, where you can start dropping maths and dropping sciences. So we need to better educate both parents and younger children that this is a really viable field for them and one that they can have a great career in. So I know I still go back to my old high school, which was an all-girls school, and do something very similar to this. I really enjoyed talking to Miriam and Emma today because they're younger. I mean, I enjoy talking to everybody, but it's also nice to also be able to see somebody who's still trying to make that decision of where they want to go. So I think that's key. And then I've also joined I'm a core leader in our gender equity group at Ellis Dawn, and hopefully and helping analyze what's going on in the organization so that we can really make it a welcoming place for women. I know somebody in our group, I think it was Maha, was mentioning, work-life balance. We need to be able to provide that because as much as society is changing, women are still holding a large part of child rearing, picking up the kids, getting meals ready. So as an industry, we need to be sensitive to that.
Thank you, Isabel. Totally agree. Anybody else?
I'll
Yes,
add on that.
Jeff,
I mean, I mean, Isabel raised a point that's really near and dear for me. 30 friends, we're lucky in a lot of regards. I was looking over our staff list while you were talking, Doina, and about 50% of our junior and intermediate engineers are female, and a far larger percentage on our kind of business operational side. So we feel like we're doing a pretty good job with that. I think where we find that we're lacking is on making sure that those leaders then emerge out of that pool of more junior intermediate staff and to become those visible senior leaders, where we have certainly a gap there. And part of that is just a matter of time, that, as you say, that 30 and 30, that wave will eventually just get it through there. But it raised a good point, I think, Isabel, with respect to, work-life balance, and certainly with women still being predominantly in charge of, child rearing and taking on those extra, pickups and meals and things like that with children. My organization, we're kind of an emergency response organization to some extent. And so how do we balance that out and be fair to the mothers in our organization, and the fathers who take those responsibilities as well, but for women it's more kind of front and center, right? And trying to find ways that people can still contribute, can excel in their careers, and maybe have different sort of themes to their roles within what we do as an organization is taking up a lot of our time, trying to figure out where are those barriers, and just asking good questions to find those pathways for the next phase of senior female leaders in our organization.
Thank you, Jeff. Anyone else want to take on?
I would like to add a couple of things to what Isabel and Jeff were sharing. I think it's great when we create these campaigns to, encourage and to increase a visible representation for females in various fields. One of the key things we also have to be mindful of is that we have to look at diversity from a intersectional lens. So, not all females or women will have kids or parents to look after or whatnot, but there are other factors that keep them away from this field. So we have to look at, when we're exploring, how do we attract more and retain more females and women in engineering or science. We have to really approach it with an intersectional lens, because, we have to look at regional differences. We have to look at the newcomer experience. We have to look at the color experience. We have to look at, the sexual orientation, and the list and the list goes on and on and on. So when we're approaching these initiatives, I think that's one of the key things. And I think also what Jeff and Isabel spoke to is about, starting at a younger age, and redefining what these roles look like and feel like when it comes to career opportunities, so that we're shifting and transforming, and not just supporting, but we're actually transforming the process of what it looks like for females. I think that's in itself is important. And being a male and identify as a male, that we need to be taking a more co-lead in the approach, and using our male privilege to create better pathways for females who don't have that access or that exposure.
Thank you so much, Chandran. Anyone else want to add?
I think especially, I'm not a parent, but growing up, I had a brother and a sister, and my father always got my brother and I involved. So, parents also giving opportunity to kids to be who they are, who they want to be, right? I think that's a big thing. And then completing, like talking what Jeff talked about it, is me as a young, junior engineer at GM, and it's a manufacturer that works 24 hours, so I can get called anytime. So to get the work-life balance is still a challenge for me, and I don't have kids, so moving forward, it just all my coworkers are males and they're 60, so I see the difference. Like we work, it's even funny, like not talking just about gender but also age. It's just so nice how at the end of the day, I think I have the same age as everybody else, because we work as a unit. So it's very interesting to see that there's not even an age gap or age barrier. But for the work-life balance, I think for women, it's still a little bit hard. So it's something not just us, but the company itself can help us with that.
Yeah. Well, for me, I personally, I think it's conversations like this that get us started. And I want to see things beyond the conversation. We can talk all day, but if we don't do anything, is not going to change. And I really appreciate, I'm very excited that we got to partner with NEM Ontario to actually come in and share from Her Evolution's perspective. For us, it's having as many young women as possible, or, we work with youth, like girls and gender non-conforming youth. We focus on low income, new to Canada. They have the different culture, different background. Sometimes parents are not supportive, and sometimes they're dealing with other issues like mental health, and they need, other barriers. They have so many barriers. There's so many barriers that they have to break before they even get to here. And then we're very lucky, and I made a really conscious decision for us to work with a really younger generation, like in high school. And this, I find that to be a really good age, because at this point, at least they have the option where now we do stuff online, but before when we did stuff in person, they were able to move and come to the events versus having someone younger. What Hillary was saying, to have a parent to be more active. It's hard to have someone that has to, a single parent that has to work 3 jobs to just pay the bills, day in and day out, and to have their kid involved in any of this programming. So, and a lot of times I hear people say, well, it's a free program. Yes, it's a free program, but that does not mean that it's also accessible. So on our end is we have to do our part to work with our partners to make sure that we create accessibility to our participants to come into programs like this so that they can learn more about opportunities that exist, because some of them don't even know that those opportunities exist. So that's kind of where we're at with that. So I'm going to have one last question, and I'm going to end in like positive note. And I know some of you already started with this, but I want you to share with us some advice that you have for the young people that are interested to get into, to start their career or their education in STEM, of course, in this case, engineering. So anyone that would like to share any advice, wisdom time. Any wisdom words. So who wants to start?
I'll start. We had mentioned this in our breakout room, was to for a young person to really go out there and be curious and ask those questions. Really connect with as many organizations, associations, universities, your counselor, as many people as you can, to ask the questions that will help you start making those career movements towards where you want to go. Because you need to ask and connect so you understand a little bit more. The more you understand, the more that you'll know where you may want to go or where you may want to try. The other thing I was going to say is, if you get an opportunity, take the opportunity when it is presented to you, even if you're scared, even if you're not certain. Usually unexpected opportunities start snowballing you into a completely new area that opens up a whole new world. So do take that challenge, take that risk, and put yourself out there.
Thank you, Norji. Anyone else? I can name someone. Okay, Hillary, let's go.
Really creating moments that allow you to build skills. Like, I find when I first joined university, I had in my mind that I was doing this course, and at the end of the day, I would have this job and I work, in a certain company, and nothing that works. Like, there's never a fail. It's just different paths. And I think life brings you different opportunities. So I would say just be open and never think, you have limits. If you have limits, try to overcome the limits and just create moments and opportunities. I think there's not a right path. Just look forward to other people. Like, I think everybody here had a dream career, and it ended up being something totally different, but still a dream. So just allow yourself to create those moments and to build the skills that you need to continue to improve and, be whatever you want to be.
Thank you, Hillary. Let's ask Isabel. Isabel, any words of advice?
Those are two difficult pieces of advice to follow. No, I think, the sky's the limit, but also be patient. I know sometimes we all just want to move to the next step right away, and sometimes you will need more experience, or you just need for that right opportunity to come along. And once it does, grab it by the horns and the sky's the limit. And love what you do.
Yeah. Anyone else? Chandran and
Sure.
Jeff are left? Yes.
I would like to share. I think one of the key things is to really embrace the unknown, that it is actually okay if you're not sure what path or paths you need to take. And it's okay to sit there and say, I don't know. Like, I like engineering, I like science, I like tech, I like buildings, but I don't know what to do with that. It's okay. However, it's not allowing yourself to be stuck and to just to remain there. So that's where it's what Norji shared, is to go out there, allow yourself to use curiosity, allow yourself to talk to that one person or two persons and ask them one or two questions so that they'll give you that inspiration to push forward. So embrace the unknown, embrace the feeling that I don't know what to do, but I do have an interest, and allow yourself to ask that question or questions with one or two people who will help guide you to better pathways for you. And that's your pathway. It's not anyone else's pathway.
Yeah. Okay, Jeff.
I'll be quick. I know we have like a minute left. And no, I think all the points that have been made are really great, and I would have echoed all of those. I think for me, I think it was Norji that mentioned it. Like, if you do have an opportunity to seize that, right, to be open to taking risks, do the things, right? Like, engineering and science is about doing stuff, right? It's about taking on these things. The other thing that I will really quickly say, and I think it was to Isabel's point, like, some of this stuff needs patience. Some of it's going to be hard, right? Like, and be okay with it being hard. Hard is what makes it good. If it was easy, everyone could do it, right? So embrace the hard and take that on, and don't be afraid of it. I'm not saying just seek it out pain all the time, but to see something through takes time, and it takes effort, and for it to be worth something, you got to really put your soul into it at times. And so just look for those opportunities and do them.
Thank you so much. And if I can just say a word of advice, join Revolution. Come to our Revolutions programs, because you get to learn so much, and then you get to meet some of these amazing people. So, and like I always tell a lot of young people, coming into programs like Revolution is the opportunity to dabble into and play with, figure out what you want to do without having to worry about paying bills, and because you still are with your parents that still have to take care of you. And this is a really good opportunity for you to figure out what it is that you want to do, and you don't have to worry about other responsibilities. So honestly, and before you go into post-secondary, to figure out what you want to do in post-secondary, you come and you learn about, it's not just Revolution, but there's so many other organizations that have amazing programs. So okay, well, now as I was saying, thank you so much to everybody. Thank you to all of our, our panelists today. We really appreciate your time. All right, so now we know that change takes time, as we're saying earlier, and then it needs to be intentional. And I want to thank our speakers from GM Canada, 30 Forensics Engineering, Matrix 360, and Ellis Dawn for being part of the conversation and to help move the needle and make the future of engineering more diverse. Each year, Revolution is looking to expand not only our programming, but its capacity for inclusion to the underserved population in STEM fields. And we always welcome new partners and new programs and new program participants. And without you, honestly, without our program participants, we could not make the impact that we're making today. And then speaking of program participants, another plugin for all of you who haven't had the chance to copy pasting, it's gonna take some time to add yourself to the email list. Please feel free to do so here. And this is where you get to learn more about what we do and how to get involved. And if you want to volunteer or if you want to join the program, this is a really good opportunity. And now I can't end this program without expressing our gratitude to the sponsors that made this National Engineering Month of Ontario event possible. So if you want to go to the slide to say thank you to all partners, I mean, not our partners, they are NEM Ontario partners. They are the ones that are supporting this initiative, and we're very grateful for that. And I want to thank our speakers again. And also, to be eligible for that $20 gift card, I encourage you to send your bingo card to this email. And we'll be able to select a winner. So just please send your bingo card by today. What's today? Today is Wednesday. Just send it by next week on Wednesday, and we're gonna announce the winner. And yes, you can find us on social media. We're everywhere. And then with that, I want to say thank you to everybody for being here, and thank you for making it possible for us to move the engineering forward. So thank you, thank you, thank you.